a pleasure. It's an honor to be here with you today. My name is Leon Krause. I'm a journalist. I'm also Univision's news anchor here in Los Angeles. So tell us, we know that Hispanics are big on mobile. Is this part of your experience as well? And how do you take advantage of that in your particular line of work?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, because I do everything on YouTube, or a lot of what I do is YouTube. YouTube gives me the ability to see where they're watching from, whether it's a computer, a tablet, or mobile, and every majority is mobile. So knowing that, a lot of people don't want to use their data, so how I use it to an advantage is that I make sure that my videos are not too long. I make them short and sweet, so when they are watching on their phones, it's something that they're not going to feel like, oh god, it's a 20-minute video, I'm not going to be able to watch the whole thing because of my data. So making sure to keep that in mind and making the videos a little shorter.
What kind of content do we like to access online?
So we definitely like to access video. Video is some of the key content that I've seen in terms of the strategies when we're putting together something for US Hispanic. But within the mobile landscape, we also consume a lot of social content. And then going into strategies, I don't know if you're going to go into that, but just utilizing what the platforms provide. One of them is location, and I'm sure we have our expert here, Alejandra, that's going to be able to talk a little bit more about that. But really utilizing data to understand who your audience is. US Hispanics are really diverse. We have US Hispanics here on the panel, we have Colombians, we have Mexicans, so we have to be very strategic with the way that we approach them. We all read content really differently. I am bilingual, so I'll read my news in English, and then I'll read my more fun content. I actually like to consume that in Spanish, so that going to kind of tie into something that you're going to discuss with language.
You've given me two very interesting options. One of them ties into politics, this idea that Hispanics are monolithic. Maybe we in this audience, we know that this is not a fact, but when you talk to politicians, even now, they don't really understand that Cuban Americans are different from Mexican Americans, and Puerto Ricans are. They say los Latinos, los Hispanos, when we are actually quite different, Adrian. Quite different.
It's a big misconception that perhaps general media has in general, specifically with politics, to target Latinos as a whole, just kind of like as Latinos. In my company, for example, when we think about kind of where people are going, we try to dig up as much data as we can as to who these people are based on the locations that they're at, right? So it's interesting to start finding out who these people are based on what their intent is as far as purchasing behaviors, as far as understanding where they could be going in the future. So if you're thinking about Latinos in general, it's probably very important to kind of first understand what type of things are they consuming, right? So as Latinos, that varies a great deal, right? So somebody could be eating Colombian food in a restaurant, but yet they could watch a soccer game that's Mexican. At the same time, you have to understand, you have to kind of be very sensitive to that as a culture.
I would love to have your take on this, Jaime, when you think of your particular niche and the automotive world. How do you relate to the diverse Hispanic audience? And then I'm going to go back to Univision, because for me it's very interesting to learn how my colleagues are dealing with this, because we, as well in TV, in the network television, this is a challenge for us as well. But I would love to have your take on
challenge was a word I was going to
use.
It is a challenge. I've been doing this for a long time now. 2004 was when I started print. And that was the challenge, was how can I communicate in Spanish that everybody can understand and hopefully not offend anyone, because words are really, really powerful. Now that when I moved to the digital world, to the print, and now with social media, I got immediate feedback. So I am very aware of the words I'm using. I notice that I adapt my Spanish naturally from my Peruvian Spanish. Now the words I'm using are very different. When I go back to my country, people weird sometimes. It's like, what do you think it is? Yeah, because I'm using words that we use. But I think I'm very proud of that, because I pay attention, a lot of attention to the comments, feedback from the users. They're from everywhere. And I think not only in the videos where we communicate directly, but also in writing the content we write, we publish at Univision.com. It is fun. It's become really fun and useful because we have such a diverse range of journalists that sometimes we get into debates because we're going to put together a piece and we're not sure we should be using a specific word. So we go through all the countries to see and we get to a consensus which one to use, which one will be the most effective.
Targeting, obviously, I find fascinating coming from the world of television in which you can't. Well, I mean, you can obviously, but by the end of the day, you actually can't. You have one program and that's it, and you hope for the best. Now, when you think of the digital world and the way you tailor your message to different audiences, you certainly can target. How different, Diego, how different is, again, Univision began as and it still is, although we are acquiring lots of digital properties, and I'm going to ask you about that later on. We still are, a TV-centric kind of company. And now we're developing into something different. What are the big differences when you think of audience targeting and all that between television and the digital world?
Well, you have to be very careful because at the end of the day, we are a company that has audiovisual DNA among us, right? And that's clearly played to our advantage. I mean, as Jaime was saying, a lot of the people that are working on the digital industry come from the newspaper side because they were the pioneers, and that's where most of us got started. And having that audiovisual DNA, it's great, but just like happened with newspapers, like it happened with music, or to Alejandro's point, where just like it's happening with their videos, we cannot afford to just copy paste whatever comes out of TV. So your newscast at 6 and 11, sure, there are people who want to see the whole thing because they're home and they want to watch it on demand and they want to watch it on their tablet, but maybe they're just interested in one particular news that you said in the third block as an opening act, and we want to tailor-make that to them. So, I mean, again, at the same time, so we have to be mindful that we are an audiovisual company. However, we have tailored that message around it, and we're also building upon values that are, I mean, and again, let's go back to the newscast, which you lead. So it has some journalistic values that we need to represent. So it's got to be the same thing. I mean, before people would used to say, "Who said that?" Oh no, it wasn't KMX. That happened on social media. Yeah, but now it's the exact same thing. If someone tweets on your behalf or on your 6 o'clock emission behalf, people are not going to say, "Oh no, that's not Leon." They're going to complain. They're going to come to you, and rightly so, because it's the same how. So we have to be coherent on that. And that being said, we also have to start building on that to make sure that we tailor-make the message in our case. Sometimes it has to do with length. Sometimes it has to do with a different title, a different way to present the exact same news. We also do A/B testing. So if you have that specific cazuela or whatever that you need to do, maybe you go around it in 4 different ways to show that it's more appealing to whoever it is. So you have to listen to your audience, but then at the same time, at least from the information perspective, you also have the responsibility to not just give them everything they want. I mean, we could go around a whole bunch of different discussions, but we've made editorial decisions while being respectful of the backbone that we have. We're still moving away from certain things that our audience is demanding. So we have things such as a trend section within our verticals. As you said, we've acquired a whole bunch of things that people will go, what's Univision doing acquiring a bunch of blogs, right? Well, maybe we'll get into that later, but we are moving away. I mean, we have to start thinking of our future audiences and the ones that are growing up and how to stay relevant to them without letting go of what we are. I mean, there's nothing worse, and this is just me, I mean, there's nothing worse than a person who refuses to age gracefully, right? In my opinion. So the same way you won't see me wearing a thong when I go to the beach, right?
Oh, please, I beg you.
We cannot afford to forget who we are, and we need to understand that we're still Univision. I mean, it's not when I from a product perspective, when we redesigned, we were not thinking. I mean, we're far away, and thank God from the point where just putting a sombrero on it made it Hispanic, right? because we all speak Mexican according to someone. But it went away from that and it got so much farther, but we also needed to know that we weren't, to Jaime's point, and you've seen this, we've been able to import like great minds from all over the Spanish-speaking world, and they come from the New York Times, the Washington Post, El País, El Mundo, Soy Tú, from everywhere, El Tiempo, Vanguardia Liberal, they come from all over, from Reforma, they come from all over the place. But we still needed to know that we're not the New York Times, that we're not the Guardian, that we're Univision, and that we have to still be Latino to them, and have some connection to the roots and to what they want. So it's weird because we have to combine both worlds.
So, describe to me the person who's speaking to the audience. So, who is speaking to the audience currently through Univision's channels? And when I say describe this person, I mean, this is a man in his 40s who's, describe him to me. Is it Jorge Ramos? Describe him to me. No, I'm serious. Exactly.
I think, for us, when we look at who the voice is, this is something that we have conversations about all the time. It's so hard to define because it really depends on whether you're looking at traditional Univision or Flama, which is another part of Univision that, really tries to reach another audience, which is a young millennial who maybe is a dominant English speaker.
So there's no monolithic voice, again, to my point. There's plenty of voices.
So it was a trick question.
Sort of was.
But I actually did want to add something about the strategy that I think that we're trying to do at Univision, because I think it's sort of twofold, right? I think, when we're looking at the type of content we're making, there's two ways to approach it. There's digital content that complements what we're doing, right? So, for example, recently with Copa America, which was one of the most watched news, game events in the history of Univision and really in the U.S., we were really looking at the World Cup. And if you looked at the World Cup and you looked at sort of all of the different patterns of what people were doing online, we actually noticed there were spikes in searches for soccer content online. So what we learned was that there were a lot of Latinos who were not only watching the games, but then simultaneously going online and wanting to get more content. So I think there's always this sort of question of, is TV important? Is radio important? I think they all complement each other in different ways. There are